Yeah, no, I couldn't remember what day it was. I'm confused by the day off.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so going back to Thursday very briefly though, Erin, you were saying like it yeah, your weekend it just took a bit to integrate or you had fun with it or
So I think the Friday I was still like processing. Ironically, I had a similar dream to Manny, um,
Oh,
the same night where I woke
what?
up being like, whoa.
Hey Manny, Erin's just
hello.
talking
How
about having a
many?
similar dream to you.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a dream or if I was awake. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it was really like a trippy experience. But yeah, a lot of like shame and guilt came through for me, but it was really fascinating.
Yeah, wow. And so then it's move through your body. Hey Karen, join in on the conversation with
Hello.
Hi,
Karen, are you overseas now? You're in a safe little nest now? Like
I'm in Sweden.
feeling calmer?
Yeah, sorry.
Feeling calmer?
Yes, yeah, though we're preparing for the 80th birthdays tomorrow. So
Wow.
we're, yeah, doing lots of preparation and cooking and setting up and preparing. But yeah, it's
Nice.
lovely to be here.
Oh, and the comfort food and all the things.
Oh, I haven't eaten so much in so long. I'm picking out.
Yeah, you look like you're glowing compared to how we've seen you before. Like you look like you're
Yeah, I feel very much at home here. It's like being with my family, which is lovely. So no, yeah, loving just love everything about the Scandinavian way of life. And yeah, had a beautiful day in Copenhagen the other day, which was it's just such one of my favorite cities.
oh,
So,
it sounds
yeah,
magical.
so feeling very spoilt.
What's the weather there at the moment?
Grey and rainy and cold.
It just feels like Melbourne at the minute.
Yeah, but I expected that. This is the probably the worst time of year to come. So it's always cold and wet. Um, but the day we went to Copenhagen was beautiful. It was the one sunny day I've had all week, but it was a maximum of 8 degrees. So yeah, so cold.
Wow. Everyone watch Karen's eyes when she's looking up to the picture of Copenhagen. Like it looks glorious.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's my favorite city in the world. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It was good to see that you're in that Zen mode. They're
And it's
going
morning here, so I haven't done a whole day like you guys. It's only 8:30 in the morning, so
Oh, that'll be interesting feedback on how you find the training for morning brain versus evening brain.
hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a morning person. I'm not a very good night person. So
yeah.
yeah.
We could do the training at 5:30. That's when I'm usually up.
Yeah, I've been up at 5:30 here too.
Um, Erin, I accidentally cut you off there with Wi-Fi glitching and stuff. You were saying like you stuff came up, but I just quickly check in. We shifted it. You were able to move it, or Erin? It was just a
Yeah, yeah. It was all, yeah, just working through it, but everything went through
yeah.
fine.
Cool, cool. All right. Everyone's starting to come in. Did anyone have a fun Melbourne Cup day? I heard Nicole, it sounded like you were opening alcohol. Like, yeah, is this the party?
No, mineral water, not alcohol. No, I went for a swim today. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
Really nice.
Do you do that often?
I try to. If the water's clear, and it was clear today, so
Yeah.
I went in.
Sure.
I braved the cold. It was very fresh.
Yeah, no, not what. No, you can have that for yourself. I'll walk in the forest.
Okay.
Anyone else a swimmer? Yeah, Lisa's nodding. Courtney's nodding. Water babies. Interesting. All right, we're gonna get started. Just looking at the It's really quite a bit of a mind bend, isn't it? Coming in on a Tuesday on a public holiday. It's feels weird, feels like a Sunday. So yeah, let's just stay in that Sunday Zen mode. Does anyone have any, feedback or questions or anything NLP related? No. We're going to have an interesting night with the fast phobia model, strategy scrambler. There's a whole slide for it. I don't have to close my eyes to remember it, but yeah, it's quite a dynamic night going from calm zen to confusion and then the phobia model. So get your sugar and we'll get through it tonight. The oh God,
Claire, before we go ahead,
I'm
can I
listening. I
just
just
ask
dropped my pen. Yes.
oh, can I just
Yeah.
ask a question around the swish?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Um, I was just curious with it, like when you are working with people and you're trying to get them to get that picture, um, do you find sometimes that I'm just curious, do people often get the picture quite quickly, or do you feel like you need to just help them?
Yeah, it's a bit of a licorice also that can go either way, depending if the client's visual or
Yeah.
resistant or yeah, you got to, it's a good question because you got to pick your moments and pick your clients who that one works for.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned when I was watching the recording, like was it Dr. Heidi? Is that
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I just felt like it, and I think you mentioned that she had sort of been set up to do it because when I was watching it, I felt like they got straight into it, and obviously there was lots missed on either end that we got to see. But
Yeah, and so that's where, and even the Richard Bandler one that's on that link and on the Facebook page, we don't often get to see the work that's done behind the scenes. We see the process because that's the name of the
mm,
video, like the swish. Okay, well, let's watch the swish. Whereas the before that is the meta model. I would prefer to call it the curiosity model. So that's all of the questions beforehand. There's a lot of different cues and planning in who you choose to be a demo. So there's also, is it real world situation and scenario? Probably not. You probably would not call up a harder person to do a demo with, as you want to actually demonstrate a level of confidence so the students get confidence.
mm. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's the same with the hypnosis side of things. People assume that if you went to a hypnotherapy night with stage hypnosis, that you're in to cluck like a chicken. And the truth is, they have done a lot of testing on you even before you've walked in the door. So there's a lot of a lot of checking in, testing that people won't even know is happening. Yeah, it's very that's that level of mastery within communication, right?
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime. Did anyone else got any other questions? Played with the swish? Any other things there? Alrighty. Elise, you ready for the spotlight on you tonight?
Ready and willing.
Yay! Demo. And you've got good lighting on you too, which makes it a lot easier for everyone else to observe. Okay, so yep, as I've already said, we're going to we're going to focus on three topics tonight: anchoring safety, strategy scrambler, and the fast phobia model. So just bear with me as I make sure I can see everybody. Yes. It is page 150 if you want your manual. And I'm not sure if I've since updated the script, but that should be kind of maybe what it looks like. Script's much the same. One of the key elements when you're working with any client, with any process, is to ensure that rapport is in place and that there's a level of safety in place before they go into their vulnerability. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go through a quick process to anchor safety into a crystal or a lucky coin or in anything. And while it's demonstrate this particular process within the group, the truth is you could do this with any process. If you're doing timeline or parts integration, or you've just got a client that's so rattled and nervous that they just need you to hold the space, then yeah, then you can set this up so that the following sessions they come in with a lot calmer headspace. Have you all got your crystals? Sarah's gone out the door. She's gone off to Crystal World. Show me the crystals. I want to know who we're playing with today.
I got the coin.
Oh, Manny's got the coin. What have we got there, Rachel? Amethyst, clear quartz, more amethyst. What's that, Karen? Oh, you're on mute.
It's dragon's blood jasper.
Ooh, all right. Oh, heavy duty. And then Lucy, what have you got?
Got
Have
it
I
from
did-
my Reiki training. I don't know.
Anyone else, any kinesiologists or crystal people know what that was?
Is it Rose? Oh.
Yeah. It's like tiger's eye, wannabe,
Is
something
it
else.
red jasper?
Oh, yeah. What if I'm curious, Lucy, are you not a crystal girl, or that one just got your attention, or
Yeah, no, we just chose from a circle. Our Reiki teacher brought them all, and that was the one that I liked.
alrighty.
And I don't know, so I never asked. I just, yeah. It just sits by my mother-in-law's, like we've got photos of her, so it sits next to her. I don't know.
Yeah, nice.
Hmm.
Okay. Cool. And Manny, you've gone for the coin. Is there a psychology behind that lucky coin?
So this coin I bought it from one of the psychic. She is in Bentley.
Yeah.
She runs the business Oracle Wisdom. I don't know if you know her, but I always keep this in my wallet. Apparently, it brings cash flow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, well then that's ideal. It's it's always fun. It's always fun playing with crystals, especially going way off track. But if you've done sort of past life work and gone and checked where your soul was before Earth and your connection to crystals before Earth, if you're a crystal healer, the ley lines, the fun stuff. It's interesting which crystals people are drawn to. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is going to put the music on. This setting the anchor will probably take about 5 minutes, maybe not even that much, but it really is about setting that intention, getting into that calm zone, and knowing that this time is just for you. I'm going to Zoom did an upgrade on me today, so I'm just finding my way around the buttons. Is that paused? Yes, it is. When I press play on this one, can you tell me, can you hear it? If I done all the right buttons? Oh, okay. We're anchoring relief. That's good. Bear with me. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. I've had it. Yeah, there's papers everywhere for tonight. There's a lot of different processes. Let's get in the zone. Alrighty. So just going to invite you to close your eyes, knowing that this time is just for you. Holding on to that crystal, the lucky coin. And as you're holding that, I just want you to imagine that you take yourself to your safe space. Now, this can be a beautiful beach, a blissful garden. Just feeling your body exhale as you just take yourself there. Being here in your safe space. I want you to just have a look around. I want you to notice how beautiful, how magical this place is. And just noticing that there's that bubble of light around your safe space. So only you can be there. Just imagining the trees, the plants, the flowers, the rocks, the water. And knowing that this is a healing space. You have permission to make any changes that you want. Whether you need to dial up that fragrance, dialing up that vividness, or maybe it's dialing it down so it's that pastel quality. But knowing here in this space, safe space, that you're in a place so loving, so nurturing, and so protective. A place that's so safe that no negativity of any kind could exist here, not even for a fraction. Just noticing there that sense of safety, the peace. And I'm curious and I'm wondering what a place like that might be like for you. And I'm wondering and I'm curious what you might see in a place like that. What you might hear in a place like that. Just breathing in that energy. Allowing that air just to create more space in your body, more peace, more ease. And here in your place of safety, just noticing that you have that crystal or that coin in your hand. I want you to ask your unconscious mind to store these feelings within the crystal. Noticing how the crystal absorbs that safety, works its magic, and then radiates that safety so that wherever you take it, the safety will be with you. Notice how the crystal works with your energy and shares that safety with you. Noticing like a lucky coin, it brings abundance wherever you go. Completely safe, completely protected. But knowing that you're in charge, just invite you to build up that energy so strongly up to that optimum level, the level that's ideal for you, so that anytime you need to access this safety, all you have to do is to hold on to that crystal. Notice how easily it brings you that energy and cocoons you as it just strengthens the aura around you. You have access to this place anytime, completely safe, completely at peace. And when you know you've got that, when you know that coin and that crystal is so safe, it shares that protection with you, it's time to journey back to the room. It's time to journey back to this place we call reality, coming all the way back to your body, feeling fully refreshed, fully awake, and so excited for this next chapter. Cool, cool. Oh, Shell's still in the zone. Courtney's still in the zone. How's that feeling for you, Sarah? As you take a sip?
My hands were like super hot on fire. But I could have stayed there. When you just said come back, I was like, oh, okay. I was very much in the zone.
Yeah, you could have been there in that healing temple and got the crystal,
Awesome.
sorts of things.
Yeah.
Fun.
It was lovely.
For you? How was that anchor for you, Elise?
Yeah, it was great. I felt very calm, very relaxed. Yeah, I wasn't ready to come back to reality.
Yep, that's good. Good to know. So last time we talked about that tonight we're going to focus on a phobia, and Shell had said that she had issues with bees. Karen, you weren't in the room last week. Just checking, do you have any phobia? Because I want to make sure that the slides are going to go, well, yeah, that make sure the slides go in the right direction.
I have spiders.
We've already
I'm
seen
really not good, and I'm a country girl, but I think that's why I have a fear of spiders.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There will be a couple of spiders in the slides, but I've deliberately made them cartoon. So is that kind of okay?
Yeah, it's not, as long as they don't look real. I just, yeah, I don't cope with them.
Anyone got
Yeah.
any fear of heights or anything? No. Shell's gone maybe.
Does it have to be like, I feel like I'm scared of so many things, but it's not like a phobia. It's just like, I don't want to, that's not my favorite thing. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, what I'm looking for is, like the person who says they're allergic to parsley and then the meal comes out with parsley on it. It's like, is this going to send you off to hospital or like you're like maybe okay with it?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What's on your list there, Rachel?
I don't know. Now I'm thinking, I don't think there's anything that would really like send me like heights. I was thinking about like heights, definitely like swooping birds. Um, Even like the gym. I like just always feel, but that's just more like anxious, I think, those sorts of things, not like phobia. So I'm trying to think what would be like a
Yeah.
phobia. Yeah.
Oh, good point, because I haven't actually described the difference between the two, but yeah, and there's definitely a slide for that. But so it sounds like the like yeah, anxiety going to the gym, like the intimidation going to the gym, maybe heights does weird stuff to your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you know which one to go with for the fast phobia thing? Like, will they be strong enough?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I doubt we're going to have enough time tonight for people to pair up, but next week people will be paired up, and the intention is to feel into the experience of being the coach doing the process more than being the client gaining the experience. So if anybody's got, so everyone's going to have to come up with something, and it doesn't have to be the phobia, so to speak. So if it's roller coasters or horses or chicken feathers or whatever it is, sort of like the intention is to hold the space so the coach can play with the script. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess. So if you, because I feel like I would have people in my life that I would want to practice this on that would probably have the same query as me, like, oh yeah, that's kind of scary, but not like vomit inducing and like, yeah. So I
Yep.
guess, yeah, I guess is it fine to sort of play around with this one anyway, and it will probably resolve some of the fears that people
Yeah.
have.
Rachel, you did a thumbs up on that Richard Bandler one who was using a similar process to what we'll do tonight. Like, do you remember like what he did with that guy?
Which one? Sorry.
I think it was you that, when I put up the Richard Bandler one, it was an 8-minute video, blue background, and he was talking to the guy about resolving negative thoughts.
Oh
Somebody else.
no, I did like that one, but I actually didn't go back and I meant to watch it, but I actually didn't go back and watch it. Sorry. But I
Yeah,
remember thinking, oh, I'm excited to watch this. I'd forgotten about that actually. I forgot that was
yeah,
there.
I encourage you guys to check it out because he's used the phobia model in a light-hearted way to resolve negative emotions. So it's just another tool in your toolkit when you see how these processes can so go off script and still get amazing results.
Totally. Yeah.
Alrighty, so what just happened then? My computer did weird stuff. So the script is page 151. Please know that as my business has developed, I've refined the script, whether I've got boxes down the side or just in a paragraph. The content is much the same, just the layout has changed. Now, if you want to take a photo or just write this one down, this is one of the assessment questions. The difference between a phobia and a fear. A phobia is a very tightly wound neural network. So it's an intense irrational fear. It is triggered by something specific and it will create a very strong and instant response, like fight or flight, like thank you, no thank you, maybe I'm even out of here. Whereas a fear is an emotional response. There's a different level of severity in the two. And so the phobia has been played out in somebody's mind so strongly, so intensely that the neural network is quite bound up, whereas the fear would have more free flowing kind of network. So a bit of a side quest as Claire does to help you get where we're going with this. This is not typically taught in NLP, but please keep in mind that we're only born with two fears. So you can imagine a baby, the fear of falling or the fear of being dropped, and the fear of loud noises. So that will activate that startle reflex. The baby will put their arms out. So any other fear that you have has been learned quickly, and therefore we can unlearn it quickly, which is quite an interesting pre-frame. You can use the fast phobia for all the things: mice, heights, public speaking, planes, elevators, claustrophobia. Yeah, you name it, you can play with it. Dentists. Obviously, anyone who's experienced a high level of fear or a phobia, I'm going to use that word interchangeably tonight, but because you could still use this process with the fear. But a phobia is going to drain your energy. It's going to drain your logical thinking, drain your emotional thinking, drain your intuitive energy. So the phobia can definitely be a real block to people's lives being productive. Now, the thing with phobias and fears is that the trigger, it's really mind bending here. The trigger, let's say we're working with feathers, a king parrot's just landed on my door. The trigger of the feather isn't actually the problem. The problem is within the client's mind and the movie that they've made and the events and the worst case scenario and the way people have responded around them. So we're still going into deep understanding about the delete, distort, and generalize, and being able to activate the new lessons and the certainty that the movie that they've made is actually not reality. I've just noticed, I know I've messaged Sarah to check in with Ray, and then in my mind I've gone, who's missing? It's Haley. I know Lilo and Lily are not here tonight. Has anyone got Haley's number? Because I know it's like Melbourne Cup, people easily forgotten. So coming back to the slides, the past is done, but the interpretation of what's happened lives in their mind. So in their internal representation, that's what's going on. They're holding on to that phobia. Making sense so far? Yeah. So that's my daughter, Maddie. The brain loves that stimulation, the novelty and reward, especially when we're little. If you experience something that you enjoy, a toy that makes a giggly noise, a parent that tickles you, the brain will spike a level of dopamine and it's going to say to itself, like, I want more of this. And I want to remember, how do I get more of this? So novelty will create that spike of dopamine, and we will do what we can to create shortcuts to be able to get more of that reward. And so, yeah, as I've already said, so the brain learns quickly to create that shortcut to reproduce that physical experience to get that neurological reward. So that repetition to get the reward, like training a puppy dog, if the neural pathways is going to get shorter and shorter to be able to get what it wants. The opposite of that, knowing that we do this experience with our five senses, what do things look like, feel like, sound like, smell like, taste like? When we have that unexpected experience of pain or shock, there's actually going to be a spike of adrenaline and cortisol, the stress, and the brain says to itself, I must remember how I did this to avoid it. So depending on, the level of pleasure, the level of enthusiasm versus the level of pain, we're going to start to program ourselves on what's yuck and what's good. Obviously making sense? Yep. So a quick example to get you thinking a little bit outside the box with how phobias can get created is, say that you've got like a 12-month-old baby, but the mum has a phobia of cats. She takes that baby to a friend's house. They own a cat. The cat sneaks into the room, and then the mum's phobia, the mum's panic spikes. It comes to the surface. Oh my God, get the baby away from the cat. Like, oh my God. And it's in that moment and in that nanosecond, where the brain is going to mirror mum. It's going to go on to high alert, the sound, the sight of the cat, and it's starting to encode that internal representation in the brain. So it's now creating a phobia, not because it's had an experience, not because the child's had an experience, but because of the way that they've looked towards mum. I'm curious to come back to the room. Can anyone sort of relate this to their own sort of experiences, seeing mum and then having to actually be consciously aware, or dad or teachers consciously aware to not do that pattern?
I actually watched an Instagram video this week, which was this. Essentially, they did the experiment. They put babies in a room with all these like snakes, pythons, and the babies were just like touching, playing, feeling, and like everyone else was freaking out. And they were saying that, yeah, the babies haven't learned to fear the snake. They'd start to fear it if they looked at the mum, and then the mum was like, and then they would fear the snake.
Yeah, what a good timing for that to come.
I know, this is interesting, and then it's actually what's happening now.
They got your attention. Yeah. Anyone else want to share like what they've had experience witnessing, cousins or anybody else?
I think most of my fear or phobias come from a dad. The way
You've got many.
Yeah. So like my dad is scared of pretty much everything. Like so I'm like Rachel, like in between. So I'm like, because of my reactions of my dad, I'm scared of like a little bit of everything, but I don't know what I'm actually scared of. Like he's scared of snakes.
Yeah.
and then I became scared of snakes as well. Yeah, like, but I've started watching videos, but it's not that scary anymore. Like I can actually look at the screen. Like there was a time when I couldn't, like I used to like skip those snake videos, but now I can actually look.
Oh, yay. So yeah, so it's a conscious effort, right? To
Yeah.
challenge the thoughts. Yeah, good job
Similar
getting around
way,
it.
like he's like fear of heights or water. Like he had fear of water, so he never allowed me to go into the water. So that's why I learned swimming very late in my life, like after I came to Australia and then started learning swimming.
Oh wow. Yeah, that would have been a challenge going in at an older age to learn to swim, especially with the fear ruling the show.
Yes, it was tough. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
It's really common with water, actually. Like, so I've been a swim teacher most of my adult life, and I taught a lady to swim, and she was terrified to the extent that she like put bruises on my arms just walking in the water. But
Mm.
it once she got in,
That's
she was
me.
like,
That's me.
yeah, I think we were like 3 or 4 lessons in, and she was like, actually, this isn't so bad. But again, conscious effort.
Mm.
It was just, yeah, it's pretty common with water.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I had adult swimming lessons probably only about, I don't know, 5 years ago. And I was that person who couldn't put myself in the water and I was holding on for like death's like, yeah. So
Do you
that's me.
remember, Sarah? Like, did your mum or dad or someone have water issues, or like, can you trace it back, or not really?
I can't. And that's the thing. I don't know where my fear of water has come from. And to the point where like I'm paranoid if we were anywhere near the water, I wouldn't let the kids near the edge because there was the fear of I couldn't save them if they fell in. Like it was awful.
Yeah, that would be debilitating.
Yeah, it was terrible. Absolutely awful. So yeah.
That I mean, sometimes the water phobia is an innocent one, like Elise was talking about with the snakes. Put the baby in the water, and then or dad, jelly fingers, putting baby in the water, and the mum, like, and that's enough for the baby to go, holy crap, what's happening? So yeah, it doesn't have to be because your brother held you down under the water. It can be something that you've just taken on the messaging. In the last
Mm.
group, we had somebody who had a fear of flying, being on a plane, and there was no issues with the plane. There were issues with her mum driving to the airport, picking up their auntie. They're in a flying coffin. What are they thinking? But so there was this repetition of messages going in her head that flying was not safe. But she hadn't actually stepped on a plane, so yeah, yeah.
Claire, is it similar in terms of the age thing, where the other beliefs are like on what is it, under 8, or is it the same thing for the phobia? It would have had to been in that age, or?
No, good question. I know that. So my husband David he's actually an identical triplet, but one died. His twin brother, when they were 18, getting in a car, got into some slippery ice or something. David saw Mark go in. David was like, oh, okay, we're in a car. The car's spinning. He saw Mark's face go into an absolute panic, be a mirror image, and he's like, oh my gosh, okay, there's a shit show here. We need to. So that imprint went to David, who was the passenger. So that was 18. So no, not necessarily. But yeah, I would have thought it was a young programming too. But it can be grown up. Cool.
Claire, does that like frequent exposure to the scary thing, maybe not with phobias, but with fears, does that actually work, or do you always kind of have to resolve that root?
No, it
Um,
would work. It's just I mean, for yourself, Rachel, if you've been through an emotional kind of turmoil, having to push through or having to do hard stuff, how exhausting that is. So the fast phobia model allows it to be simple and effective without having to do months or years of pushing willpower, being exhausting, building up the strength. It'll just kind of zap it.
yeah,
It
totally.
will work, but it's just the yeah, just the the consequences of going with exposure therapy.
Yeah, it's such like that would be really hard work.
Yeah. You could do EMDR and other things, and again, the scaffolding around EMDR and other modalities, there's a lot of recovery time, again, compared to this one.
What does EMDR stand for again?
Oh, somebody help me. Rapid eye movement, something. I've experienced EMDR because I like to dip my toes in all the modalities. But EMDR is when a therapist will get you to think of yucky thought, and then they get you to follow the fingers until the memory can't actually work out which hemisphere of the brain it's stored in, and eventually it kind of gets scrambled.
Right. Interesting.
Has anyone else somebody else could probably explain it more eloquently if anyone else has experienced EMDR? I didn't like it. I was too much of a control freak. Like, give me my NLP, that's my security blanket. That's just me. That poor therapist.
It's good that you tried it.
Have I tried it, or somebody else's? What was that, Rachel?
I said it's good that you tried it at least.
Yeah. And it was trippy because the image, after numerous sessions, and suddenly the image started to go red, and then it started to distort, and then it was like, can't make this stuff up. It was weird. But that took like 8 sessions for one topic, and it was just like, we're good, like making that therapist very wealthy. But yeah, I did try it. So going back. So yeah, going back to my little story there, anytime that person sees the cat, just from that mother's gasp of get the baby away, even though they know that they're safe, their body's still going to go into that automatic response. So yeah, this is where we use the fast phobia model to undo their story, undo the meaning, undo the movie in their mind, and start to decrease the intensity of it. So taking you back to briefly submodalities, the way that the brain stores and codes the representation of how you do reality, taking a picture and blinking it black and white. It's my daughter Emma at my grandparents' farm. Can really take out the intensity of it. So we're going to use that in the phobia model. There's a little bit of belief work here. And remember, a belief is like something happened, it caused this, the belief is now there. So the going up high, I had a fear response. Okay, now heights equal a phobia or a fear. So again, we're doing a little bit of that in this process tonight. Yes, you can use timeline to go back to when they made the decision that they were not safe. I wouldn't go to timeline to work out when they went back to the fear. I would go back to when they decided they weren't safe. I would play with it a little bit differently. You can do that if you're more comfortable. This particular process works exceptionally well for PTSD, so much so that therapists and counsellors are now taught this accelerated and effective treatment to improve the veterans' lives. There's a webpage to prove it. Not that you guys did, question it, but this one's quite incredible. If you've been trained to work with trauma, this will work with people who've got trauma of being kidnapped, violence such as murder or assault, domestic violence, sexual abuse, road incidents, homelessness, traumatic births, natural disasters. Worked with somebody who had been caught in a bushfire. This is the one that solved that so they could sleep at night. Just quickly checking before I go too far off topic. Any questions on where or when you can play with this one? No, we're going to look at it before we talk about it. Yeah.
What if someone has a fear and like a physiological response? So for example,
Fear of vomiting?
Hey?
Fear of vomiting?
No, like my mum has a fear of fainting and she does faint. So I would be interested to see like what kind of response she would have after an exercise like this. Like, I mean, would it stop her fainting, or would it just stop the intensity and the fear that she experiences while passing out?
This would help with the fear of being out of control. So this is a lot like when we talked about timeline and using timeline for fear of flying. It's like you're not fearful of flying because you don't fly. You're
Yeah.
the only the captain can do that one. So I'd say with your mum with the fear of fainting, truth would be she's more fearful of being out of control of the consequences of what happens when she
Mm,
has fainted.
yeah.
So no, this would not resolve the fainting thing. The emotional cause of the fainting would solve the fainting.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Great.
question.
Thanks.
Because I know sidetrack why I brought up the vomit thing when Richard Bandler, gotta love him, back in the 70s, the rules are different. If he was working with a woman who had bulimia or anorexia, he would give them a phobia of vomiting. So yeah, right. Let that sink in. Yeah. Thoughts on that there, Sarah? No thoughts there, Sarah? Like just
Did that
you know,
work?
yeah, it did work. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Saved her years of, doing all sorts of different kind of therapies and stuff. Yeah. It might not have addressed the emotional cause of why she created the anorexia, but maybe that would have been easier to solve rather than the whole bulimic thing. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful, especially watching Richard Bandler stuff, because he's been known to he's been known to conversationally do belief work where he installs in people the need that they've got to go to the toilet like every half hour. Like, and there's been cases where they've talked about that. So if you went to him, disrespected him, you'd probably yeah. Anyway, dangerous territory. But that was back in the 70s. Ah, the mind. Okay, so the people who have a fear of heights, this is just a Claire tidbit. Uh, People who have fear of heights are very, very good at visualization. So think about this, who do the fear of heights, because what they're actually doing is I'll actually read the slide. If you are the type of person who visualizes what you want to do and then act on it, then you're going to be a very highly motivated person. So when you wake up or you visualize what you're going to get done, okay, that's it, get out of bed, it's happening. A byproduct of this effective strategy to get things done, get you motivated, is part of the seeing yourself do it, associating into the to-do list, which means that when you approach a tall building and you let your mind get the better of you, you're going to start to visualize what it would be like to fall. And so that's where you get that yucky feeling in your feet and your knees, and because you're actually trying it on. This kind of relate to people who do fear of heights. I can relate to this one, and I have to be really consciously aware that getting to the top of a I don't know, top of a building, got to make different pictures that just being calm, comfortable. Yeah, I'm very suggestible around visual cues. Okay, so just checking the time. Before we go into the detail of the fast phobia, let's actually just talk briefly about how the process works so that you can get those results. Your client will come to you with that present state, fear of birds. The expectation on the coach isn't to go from fear of birds to fixing the fear of the birds. There's a step in the middle, which is known to loosen the model of their world. So this is about setting things up like the anchor, the safety anchor. This is also challenging challenging the problem, looking for what they're motivated to create. So don't expect in a session to go straight from problem to solution. You're going to make your world a lot easier if you put in a lot of emphasis on loosening their model of the world instead of going straight into for the fix. Is that kind of making sense? Yeah. So one way to loosen someone's model of the world is to use the strategy scrambler. Who remembers Rick doing the Elvis voice on their pre-training? Yeah, Rachel does, Elise is nodding, Shelley's nodding. Lucy, you've got a very sharp memory for what Rick did. Like, you remember him doing the Elvis voice, or like, no, he scrambled my strategy that day, Claire.
I didn't actually listen to all of them.
Oh, home play. All right, well then,
So
this
to
would
be honest,
you.
I'm not sure.
Anyone
I don't
else
know.
remember?
I remember him doing lots of voices, like the emphasis thing, but was that the same episode? I don't know.
No, no, you would remember. Well, I remember. Anyone, guys, who people who've heard it remember him talking to the woman who wanted to do presenting, and he's gone into an Elvis voice. You're like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like, what course have I got myself into? Did you say that to yourself, Rachel?
I think I was thinking, am I going to be having to do this? Like,
Here we are. The moment is now.
yes.
So yeah, we're going to go play with the strategy scrambler. It's a bit of a mind bender. It's a lot of fun. You have to be prepared to make a fool of yourself. That's all us, right? And I'm not doing this by myself. Okay, so with me. Oh, underneath. Okay. So the strategy scrambler, I'm being strategic, doing the strategy scrambler before the fast phobia model. David is like, why are you doing this before the fast phobia model? Put it in the strategy section. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm going to demonstrate how we loosen the model of the world, do a strategy scrambler, do all the things. But I want you to keep in mind that with the strategy scrambler, we can do this with procrastination. We can do this with any problem really, drinking, gambling. Yeah, the strategy scrambler is a tool that you can use for any problematic behavior. Who remembers start again. First, we need to identify the phobia of the strategy. And my next question is, who remembers how to do the formal strategy elicitation? Someone call it out to me. Well, I'm going to turn my light on here. Do you remember the formal strategy elicitation? All right. It's this one. Can you remember a specific time when you felt the fear, the phobia, whatever we want to do? Strategy elicitation, the full one, is can you remember a time when you felt totally confident? Can you remember a specific time? And as you go back to that time now, what was the very first thing that caused you to be totally confident? Something you saw, something you heard, something you said to yourself. What was the very first thing that caused you to be totally confident? Remember this one, guys? Yep, because I was on repeat that night. So when you have rapport with the client, one of the things in the strategy scrambler is to be able to identify how they do the problem. So we're going to engage with a little bit of that belief about not taking your problems too seriously. We're going to engage with how they perceive their problem. We're not making fun at the client, we're making fun at how much this problem has held them back. There's a bit of a difference there. Teaching moment, as you go through, there really isn't too much of a script for this. There's steps, but there's not a script. So really have to think on your toes with this one. Listen out as I take Elise through this, because I'm going to ask her to teach me how she does the phobia the way that she does it, because I don't want to forget. And so we're going to do a combination of the strategy elicitation. Okay, take me back. If you're going to teach me, what do I have to see, hear, smell, taste? Like, teach me, how do I do phobia Elise's style? Because I don't want to forget. And even in that embedded command, we're going to start to scramble and make it difficult for Elise to access the problem. Who else is going clever? This is like Richard Bandler giving a bulimic a phobia of vomiting. Like, this is clever stuff. This is really deep mastery in language.
Claire, can I ask a quick question there?
Yeah.
With the you know how we were talking about when you say like don't forget blah, like you're gonna forget it. Is the reason for that because we have a negativity bias? Or what's the like why does that work?
Yeah, it works because we're actually embedding the command to forget.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing as the don't forget your shopping bags because we want another $2 out of you when you buy a new bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one is much the same as tell me about your strategy because I want you to forget it. Because it sounds a little bit backwards, right? If you've got somebody with a phobia, they want to get away from it, you want to support them getting away from it. It's actually like, no, let's go and look at it and scramble it. We want you to actually forget and induce that healing amnesia.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. So it has to be like so it's more about the command word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Thanks.
So this is a quick, hold on, sorry. This is a very quick kind of overview on where we're going with this. So how long, I'm thinking of my nana, she had a phobia of feathers. So how long has the problem been for you with the phobia of feathers? When did it start? Yeah, I was 6 years old. I was a little girl on the farm. Have you had this for a long time or is it something new? So we're just getting an understanding as the coach what's happening for them. Can you get in touch? Can you get in touch with that in your head? Like, has there ever been a time? And these questions will change because dealing with dentists versus feathers, it's going to be different. So it's a very on the spot process, this one. So has there ever been a time when you were around feathers, let's say at Maya at Christmas time? Were the feathers a problem for you when they're on Christmas decorations, or do they have to be like moving? Is it okay with your unconscious mind for you to let go of this, and to be consciously aware of it? So you'll see me tonight. I'll go through a series of questions with Elise to better understand what specifically is the problem, what specifically is the trigger. And in that, we're listening out for cause and effect, complex equivalence, lost performatives. No, it's gone. I was going to demonstrate the complex equivalence a little bit more, but it's gone. So the beginning of the phobia model or the strategy model, strategy scrambler, is the same kind of questions. So they're the same. You do it just once. So you may ask them, like, when you think of the phobia or when you think of the feathers, can you get that old feeling back? Or you may ask them about, the fear of heights. Do you make a picture? So the questions are identifying, like, where is the problem? Now, this is where it was really difficult to make these slides, so they may seem a little bit jumbled. But what we're going to do is we're going to get the steps of how they do their phobia of feathers or whatever. Let me just skip these bits. And then we're going to ask the client to teach me how you do the problem. Let's just say that you're going to have a day off from worrying about feathers, and I'm just going to step in for you. I want to make sure that I do the phobia for you so you don't have to. But for me to be able to do that phobia means that you need to teach me your steps because I don't want to forget this. And so tell me, where would I start with the feathers? Like, is it something that I have to see, hear, smell, taste? Like, what is the first step of the fear of feathers? And so the client will, I'm actually going to skip these slides because they're annoying me because they're out of order. So the client will start to rehearse in their mind, but you need to make sure that you keep them on track to teach you. So the client's words must be saying things like, well, if you were going to do the phobia, you would have to see something in the corner of your eye, you'd have to say something to yourself, and you would have to get that yucky feeling. And I sit there as a good student listening, and I'm like, okay, oh, I've got to get this right because I don't want to forget. So first I've got to see something in the corner of my eye. Then I look over there and I also see something in that corner, but then I get that yucky feeling. If I did it that way, would the phobia still work? And what will happen is the client will try that on and go, no, 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 you didn't hear me properly. Okay, well, tell me again. So what do I have to do if I'm doing the phobia for me? Teach me. How would I do your phobia? And so they go through the plan, and then you recite back to them the steps that they said with a bit of a twist and a bit of a turn in your scenarios, so that the more that they go and try on the strategy the way that you're demonstrating it, the less they can access the original blueprint. Any questions on that one?
Yeah, I have a question. So are you when you say you're like, I guess because here you're trying to deliberately slightly tweak it, is that right? How far do you go? Because are you just acting dumb? I don't know, like where do you draw the line, I guess is my question, on making something up versus genuinely mishearing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So then the first one, so the first bit of it, like working with a child, like sit there, teach me, and be serious, get them invested, but then you'll start to be more and more and more ridiculous to the point where they can't even access, and they're like, um, there's a video I've put up on the strategy scrambler page, and the guy is doing the strategy scrambler for procrastination, and the coach is deliberately saying, hey, teach me because I don't want to forget. So I sit down, I look at the computer, and then I kind of laugh at myself, like, how ridiculous is this? And he's like, well, no, because then you wouldn't be doing procrastination. He's like, really? Okay, so I don't want to forget. So tell me again, what do I do? And so the more he's trying it on, the more ridiculous the old strategy seems to be. Does that kind of make sense?
I
I
think
will
I
have
need
to.
to see it in action.
I think I'm going to have to put on my big girl pants and demonstrate this one.
Sorry.
No, that's right. I was going to anyway. Um, the the I'm tossing up between Elise kind of hearing this versus actually just taking her through it. But what happens for me as a trainer is that I will hear what the demo wants to work on. And the last group was the fear of flying. So I spend a pocket of my time before the training just coming up with ridiculous, there's a swear word in there, it's ridiculous stuff to scramble the client. So I've got a list of people who've got fear of flying, fear of cats, and I will pull that paper out as a bit of a prompt. So with the fear of flying, okay, teach me how you do fear of flying. You have the day off. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to go and do the fear of flying for you. So tell me, so what's the first thing that has to happen for me to have this phobic response about flying? And she said what she said. And so then I repeated back the strategy because I don't want to forget. So if I did this, would it still work? That's the number one saying. By the end of it, Lucy, we had a guide going surfing down the aisle of the plane looking for the party. Like it goes full blown ridiculous. And by then they're laughing at it. And yeah, and then that client actually booked her flight to Europe within the week of that session happening. So to go see her daughter for the first time in years. So it's good stuff.
Amazing. And then just on, I think that's clearer. And then, sorry, can I just ask another question? It's just prompted, just because you said the fear of flying. I've got potentially a new client who grapples with that, and she's young, so she's still in high school. And when we first, and I've just had like a chat with her, but a classic teenager, like doesn't want to give up any information. She could tell me when she started feeling that way, but if you're finding someone's reserved and kind of deliberately guarding and not, the answers are I don't know, or I just always feel that, you get those generalizations. With this technique, what do you find are like the effective probes to help them get to that strategy elicitation? So you're getting the original script.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I've got 4 daughters, 21, 19, and 14-year-old twins. So I'm in that chapter of resistance. But typically I will go and I don't work with teenagers, but if I did, I would look for a strategy that actually is working for them and then look at the strategy that's not looking for them, and I would look for the missing piece. That is actually what I would do within their strategy. So what's something that I've got a client as an example, she's a beauty therapist, absolutely freaking confident in what she does, incredible, amazing. And I elicited that strategy on how she does confidence in her business, and then her relationship is falling apart. And I've been able to use that as a contrast to say, she's not doing confidence my way, she's doing confidence her way. And like, notice that you're in control and all the things when you're in your business, it's your way versus stepping into the home and having to deal with him and blah, 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 blah. So that's what that's does that kind of make sense? Is like I'm going to use a contrast and then I'm going to go into a process.
And is that useful because people are more giving if it's positive to start with? So you're almost getting them familiar with the process, with the tool in a way that makes them feel good and feels comfortable. So then they're more easily giving up information for the opposite.
Yeah, I really feel like tonight is a bit of a Claire swearing night, but yeah, you can start to call people out on their bullshit when they start to put the brakes on.
Yeah, okay. Because that was so easy. So let's look again kind of vibe. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you. That's helped.
I should swear more often. But yeah, it's a deliberate strategy. Like when you're watching Dr. Heidi, everything that she's doing, the way she's holding herself, every breath that she takes, every movement that she takes is all deliberate in front of the client. And some of the resistant clients is to deliberately get them to dig themselves in a hole to then call them out on and use the meta model to call them out on their big exaggerations of the problem. Yeah.
How important is it to get their strategy correct before you start dismantling it? Like, do you need to have them go through it? Like, do you need to fully have grasped their strategy and then you can start to kind of like repeat it incorrectly, or yeah?
Good question. So we would probably do about, depending on how much, if I had a client who was super duper fast in all the steps, blah, 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 I'd probably let them go for a few steps and then stop them in their tracks. And if I've got somebody who's having to really be more methodic in thinking about it and slower with the process, I would probably stop them in their tracks about the third kind of step. So again, it comes back to reading the strategy of how the client works. I know that wasn't a really clear answer, but you're definitely going to warm up to the nonsensical part, and you're definitely going to get a chunk of their strategy before you start to scramble it. Yeah, because if I had just said, if I'd said to you, Rachel, think about so I'm you, teach me how to do breakfast in the morning. So what's that very first step to know that it's breakfast time? Do I have to see something, hear something, say something to myself? Teach me, what do I need to do, Rachel? Now, coaches, we're looking at eye patterns. She's looked up the visual. If her words don't match a visual now, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, so I saw myself like waking up in the morning,
Yeah.
waking up and seeing that it's morning time. So
Yeah.
that's the first step. Um, I don't know how detailed to go with this, but
Yeah, so then what's the next step? If I'm doing you, teach me, how would I do breakfast Rachel style? Is it what's the next step? Do I have to see something, hear something, say something to myself, feel something?
um, I'm so aware of my own eye patterns, it's hard to think straight. Um, wake up, it's morning time. I think I have to say to myself the few things that I want to do before breakfast. So, okay, I'm gonna wash my face and then I'm gonna meditate and then I'm gonna get dressed, you know?
Yeah,
And
so teach me, Rachel, if I was taking over Rachel's world for a day, because I don't want to forget this. No, we won't scramble your breakfast. You
yeah, I'm
have
like
breakfast.
ready for it.
If I was going to step into Rachel's shoes, so the very first thing to know that it's breakfast time is first I need to wake up. Then I run through an AD, a bit of a to-do list in my head.
Yeah.
So then the next thing I do is I look around for light to confirm that it's morning. Is that right?
No.
Yeah. So teach me, what is the first step to doing the breakfast? So I wake up.
Um, yeah, and then I'd look around and see that it's light in the morning.
Oh, teach me. So you would look around, yeah, and then what would I do?
Yeah, and then I would say to myself, I'm getting up to go. Um, yeah, I would say to myself what I'm going to do next
Yeah.
in my head. Yeah.
So teach me because I don't want to forget this. So to do breakfast in the morning, I'd wake up, I look around for that confirmation that there's light around. Then I say to myself, like, I'm so motivated for the day. If I did that, would that strategy still work for breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to forget this. I want to make sure I get it right. So teach me then. So what would be the next step?
Where are we up to?
So I wake up in the morning.
Mhm,
I see the light. I see that it is morning.
mhm.
Then what do I do? Teach me because I don't want to forget. What do I do for my breakfast strategy?
Um, wake up in the morning, see that it's light. Um, 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 what do I do then? I would go and I would go and wash my face.
Yes.
And
Yeah. I wash my face. And then what?
then I'd probably get dressed.
No, teach me because I don't want to forget. So you got to say to me like you would because it's me doing this. So I wake up in the morning, I confirm, I see the morning light. I say to myself like, yep, there's a to-do list. I'm going to get up.
Mhm, mhm.
And so then I wash my face and it's just like this fairy dust just comes out of the sponge and just sets me alight for the day. If I did that, would the breakfast strategy still work?
Yeah, yeah, that'd still work. Yep, you gotta eat breakfast eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do a timeout. You played with me very, very well. Talk to me, Rachel, about what was happening for your experience as I was challenging the steps.
That was so interesting because I started to kind of forget like what I even do in the morning. Like it was so clear to me when we started. Yeah, I get up, I say to myself, this is this, and then I eventually like go and make some I start to feel hungry and then I make breakfast.
Yeah.
I had that like ready to go. And then the more we went into it, the more I was like,
It's a swearing night. You were like, far out. Like
Yeah, I really started to blank a bit
Yeah.
on what was next. Yeah,
So if you had a friend, going shopping with a friend and they're venting and they're doing their problem and you're like, could you imagine playing with this and having some
totally.
fun?
It's hard, and it's hard to like, I noticed I didn't use the phraseology of like you would do this, then you would do this.
Still worked. It still
Yeah,
worked.
yeah. That was fun. Am I gonna forget to eat breakfast tomorrow, or are we all good?
No, but
It
you're
was
going to
super,
feel the light and the glitter and the magic and the
really super
motivation.
motivated. Thank you.
But yeah, I'm atrocious with friends, right? You start to complain to like my auntie's the worst. So like, really? So like
Love that. That's fun.
yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, Nicole, what are you observing?
No, I was just thinking about doing that with my mum, but she just ended up saying, "Oh, just shut up, Nicole." I wouldn't be able to get to the end.
Get to the end with Rachel. She still has to put her food in her mouth.
No, that's fun.
Yeah, yeah, it is. If you've got good rapport with someone, so yeah, it is fun, and yeah, you can do all sorts of different things with that in the right setting. So cool. Okay. Any questions?
I was just thinking, did I ask a question for us to get onto that? I feel like I did, but now I can't remember what
So
I
I
didn't
don't want
get.
to forget.
I don't have any questions. Okay.
Oh no. So let me because I don't want to forget. I want to just quickly check the slides that are on track. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to play with police because we don't want to forget. I'm going to play with this tonight. I'm going to invite you to get a little bit more involved when we get towards the end to see what I'm going to do at the end with Elise with the strategy scrambler is just invite you guys to come up with your own weird and wonderful scenarios to see if your mind can start to do the weird pattern. Because the number one thing with if we're doing phobias, working on fears, you want to make sure that the scramble, sorry, you don't, we want to make sure that the phobia doesn't connect to we want to make sure that the phobia doesn't connect to something good. Now, I say this because as walking with David, say, okay, we were walking the dogs, it prompted me to like, okay, on Tuesday night, I'm taking a client through the fast phobia model. We're working on big dogs. These are my these are my ideas. And I said, there's no way I would do this one, but like, wouldn't that be funny? And he was like, it's funny, but you're really risking the association connecting to the phobia. I won't say too much about that. I'll tell you what it is later. But you just got to be a bit mindful. Like what I did with Rachel just then was to bring in confidence, bring in more of what they want. Um, yeah, I've gone a bit absent with that one. But is that kind of making sense? Just I'm going to go through this with Elise, and then I'll just check in the room what you might have challenged the strategy with your one liner. Mine there was like the glitter, um, the light coming down. See what comes up. Lisa, how are you feeling? Vulnerable? Ready?
Very vulnerable, nervous, all the things.
Is there anything that I can answer for you to feel more in control, more certain about this?
No, I guess for me, like this phobia protects me from something. So I'm just conscious of that.
Yes, 100. So am I. So am I, absolutely. And I did play with Rachel to make fun to demonstrate where people can play with this, but 100% phobias are serious. And that's where we've got to be really respectful that it's a strategy that's working for you. What I'm going to do, Elise, is I'm going to just quickly check in with the phobia, putting the strategy stuff aside. I'm not going to ask anyone to pair up and do the strategy scrambler. You guys can play with that within your own time, like when it comes to next week. So I'm just going to, your team, your guides, just put a pause. Yep, okay. I'm going to follow that. I'm going to follow my intuition on that. Sorry for any confusion. I want to take you through the whole process, Elise. That's what's just come in really strongly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly take everyone through the slides. We'll have a break, and then I will take Elise through the whole process from the meta model, strategy scrambler, check in with people, and then we'll go through the phobia model. Does that sound better to you, Elise?
Yeah, sounds fine.
I got a Zoom update today and can't figure out where the buttons are to unpin you. There we go, remove pin. We're doing well. So if you had a client in a room with the phone, so okay, there's three parts. We've done we've anchored safety. We're going to come back to the strategy scrambler. We're now talking about fast phobia. If you had a client in the room with you, you could do all the things. You could hand them a remote control as if they're in control of the process. And this will make sense later, but feel free to get creative with how you help your client get the solutions that they need. As we said at the end of last week, we're going to use the metaphor of a cinema, and this separates themselves from the experience and gives some distance. We need to change the emotion and the structure of how the unconscious mind has recorded the event. And we need to get them out of the movie of their mind. We need to create some distance. We need to get that movie on the screen separate. So this cinema metaphor creates that disassociation. But as I go through this, you'll notice there's actually a double disassociation. So we're going to put them in the middle row, seeing the movie, but also taking a version of themselves up into the projector room. So it's very trippy. Remembering associated is looking through your own eyes. Disassociated is seeing yourself in the picture. Double disassociated is a tool we use for trauma. It's looking at yourself as you see yourself in the memory. So it's, which will make sense. So we've asked the client to imagine walking into the cinema, sit in the middle row, notice that there's a movie about to play, but before we hit play on that movie, we've also got another version of you in the projector room. And what we're doing is we're setting things up so the mind starts to weaken the neural pathways. Like an old VHS, we're going to play that movie over and over and over again until that neural pathway like breaks and becomes a bit of a blur. And then the client will have a level of neutrality, if that's the right word, a sense of freedom from it. The client will still remember the chicken, the water, the car accident, whatever it is. The client will still remember it. The intention is to create a level of nothingness in response to the stimulus. So again, keeping that in mind, the expectation is just to get to a level of neutrality. Cinema. Part of the process is the pre-frame, that you learned this quickly once before so you can unlearn it quickly. I always forget this piece. I don't want to forget to calibrate, but you can calibrate on a scale of 1 to 10. How much is this phobia impacting your life? In sequence, you can now do the resource anchor, the crystal or the lucky coin. And now it's time to step into the center of the mind. So I'm just talking the fast phobia. The strategy scrambler is the piece that I'm going to add to this tonight. You do your hypnotic kind of voice, feel welcomed going into a safe simmer where you'll get the learnings of something new and inspiring about yourself. And we're going to do the embedded command. We're actually looking to discover something amazing about you rather than resolve a phobia. And this is a generalization of the script. notice that there's a version of you sitting in the middle row looking at the screen. And while there's that version of you in the cinema, you're going to just take an aspect of you all the way up into the projector room. So far away from the screen, staying up there in the projector room so you can see yourself sitting in the cinema and see the black and white screen. And you pre-frame to the client, a movie is going to play featuring yourself in one of those bad times or bad situations. When you used to respond to that thing, this is huge. Know your movie has a beginning and an end. Huge, huge, huge. Know your movie has a beginning and an end. Otherwise, it would be all too consuming in your mind. So we're just going to watch the movie in black and white from the beginning just past to the end when they're safe. Then the coach will ask the client, okay, now rewind the movie so it plays backwards. See yourself walking backwards, talking backwards, rewind, and then stop. And now we're going to speed it up, playing the movie quite quickly, playing out the movie so you're going out really fast and then get to the end and stop. Okay, now press rewind and seeing everyone walk backwards, talk backwards, being ridiculous and getting back to that safety and stop. And then moving forward, going always all throughout that movie, all the way to the very end where you're safe and stop. Some clients need that done like twice, and other clients need that done around 8 to 10 times. That just comes back to that calibration. Once they're kind of in that what just happened mode, you ask them to come out of the projector room, sit in the middle row with yourself, feet on the floor, and let's just watch this movie from the beginning to the end and notice a change. What I do then, once we played it and we've scrambled the way that the mind has stored it, this is a Claire extra, it's a hypnotic extra, is I actually get them to come out of the cinema. I get them to bubble up the cinema, like timeline. We're going to go up and we're going to take it to the abyss. I'm just going to smash it out of your energy field so we can't go back to even replay that movie, even if we wanted to. That's a Claire extra. That's not formal NLP, but it makes sense to me. Once that's now in place, breathe. We can calibrate again. We're just going to ask the client to momentarily float into the future, where previously that situation may have been uncomfortable. I want you to look at the scene down there and notice how things have changed. And you now have a choice on how you respond to it differently. And that's a good thing. Notice I'm not using any language whatsoever to bring up phobia, fear. I'm really going to be really, really, really cautious with my language when I do a future pace. I don't want to activate it. I want to be looking for the good stuff. If you want to see it again, we'll do that later. So how are you feeling about that, Elise?
I feel good, Brian.
The fun to come. Cool. Has anyone else got any questions? Not anyone else. Has anyone got any questions about that process? I'm also just keen to see it.
How many, say if, like, I think I told you about my wife, yeah? She's scared of her house geckos.
Yeah, the
Um,
geckos, yeah.
and I've seen her, she almost felt like she's gonna die, like she was she was unable to breathe. So like how many sessions for a person like that will take it is like one session or like
I would be doing a little bit of the, hold on 1 second, geckos. I would be doing a little bit of timeline with your wife on time in the past where something else has kind of spooked her or something else has made her on alert. I would definitely go back to just something trivial, something little. I would gain the lessons from that. So I would then be doing the resource anchor with the crystal or whatever works for her. Probably wouldn't do, knowing what you've told me about your wife, I probably wouldn't do the strategy scrambler on that. I would then be checking in with the congruency, parts integration, that, yeah, it is time to, part of me is okay with holding on to the phobia, and yet the other part of me wants better for my daughter. So I'd probably do parts integration. So we're all setting up for um, the fast phobia piece to work.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've answered your question, because it depends on how willing she is to do the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I was doing a podcast with Jess today and talking about timeline, and talking about you can use timeline to resolve somebody's issue with anger, as we've all kind of experienced. But now that somebody's not living with anger, they now need a strategy for success. They now need to know how to speak up about their boundaries. They now need to know XYZ. So while timeline fast phobia works like magic, it's not that the phobia will come back. It's the support that the coach can bring in to put those bookends in, to be able to know that they've got the tools they need for the challenges. Does that kind of make sense, Manny?
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, Claire, on the back of that, because I had a question just going through when you were doing the strategy scrambler, you made a mention then that you wouldn't do it. Can I just ask, without going personally into Manny's life, but why you would choose not to do it on the back of what we're about to do, the fast phobia?
Good question, because good question, because the only time I've done the strategy scrambler with someone is when they've absolutely completed like a full coaching program, and then they've put their hand up for more, maybe 3-6 months later, like, okay, Claire, now this next thing, I'm ready for this growth. And so I know how far I can push them. But coming in as a one-off or a try, and that's not my style. So I would do this. I would do this straight. That's why it's like towards the end. I would do this when I know the threshold of people's limits.
Yeah. Okay.
If you were somebody who was a hypnotherapist who specifically focused on phobias and had all of the other tools in the toolkit and all of the other resources, okay, go home, do this, that's not where I play. That's like, well, I don't play with smokers. I'd send you to Amanda, because then she's got all the home play and the resources and everything for that. And that's where my focus had always been, more the lifting people up to their potential, their soul's growth, their more than niching myself into phobias. So, but after saying that, I use the fast phobia script, the double disassociation. I use it in a different way than how it is written, to help people out of very tricky situations. So yeah, at practitioners, like, get familiar with this and then go play with the threshold of what people are willing to do with it.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you
Thank
can
you.
see from the process, and the reason that Rick could do it in the demo was because he was doing human coaching on someone who had a trivial thing about doing presenting on stage. They're already stepping up to want to present on stage. We're not talking about somebody who's going through heavy duty issues. Okay, but then, do you know what I mean? Like, it's contextual.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be used in this context every time. Like, it's not something that you always use.
Yeah, hence why, like, next year I'll release the Be Your Purpose method, because I would teach you what I do with the strategy scrambler in a more energetic way to get the best out of people, more than what this does. So you can,
Okay.
this one is a really good foundation for recognizing You don't always have to go back and solve a problem. You can get the confidence to change how they perceive reality with a few short sentences. So yeah, there's a lot more going on with this process than what meets the eye.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty, so we will have a 10-ish minute break and we'll then jump in to hold the space for Elise and yeah, come out with what was it, Rachel? Because I don't want to forget. What was it? Glitter?
Yeah, and motivation.
All right, I'll see you in 10-ish minutes.
I didn't get any response back from Ray, Claire, so I'm not sure what's up.
You said, I know she's got her privacy, but is everything going okay, or is it most likely just Melbourne Cup Day?
I don't know, unless there's something wrong, like her husband's not well, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good night to watch the replay, but it also this is the night to have lots of interesting questions too.
Yeah, it's not like her not to respond, so I feel that there could be something else going on. She's
Okay.
very good normally, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And did anyone, because I don't know if you guys have shared your phone numbers at all. I should probably message Haley now. Did anyone hear from Haley?
I don't have a phone number.
Don't know. Isn't it like the weather? I love, 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 love this warm weather. Like, wasn't today just magical?
It's amazing. It's going to be like 32 tomorrow. And we're working. Yay.
Where are we going, Erin, when it's 33? Like, Erin sends me these cruel photos of the beach and things when she works in Albert Park.
Yes, no, unfortunately, I'm stuck in full suburbia tomorrow. Otherwise, I would have been at the beach.
Right, well, I will go for a walk in the forest near a water.
I was at the beach today, though, so I feel like it kind of evens
Oh,
itself out.
I love it.
There was like a pirate ship in the bay today.
Was it?
Yeah, I'll put a photo up.
That's
This is really
random.
cool.
Oh, Nicole.
I don't know what that was.
I was going to say, what was that?
Could you hear it?
Oh.
Yeah, it's downstairs creating havoc. Claire knows.
Where do you live, Nicole? So where's the bay?
Elwood.
Oh, Elwood. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Stop it, Claire.
I know, it's really suggestible right now. You're living by yourself. I won't.
Yeah.
In one of the previous groups, I had and Nicole and Erin know this, and Manny, because we're doing a different course at the moment. But Evie often has her Greek relatives come and stay over, and she would have this woman with white hair, kind of hunched over, and we would be doing the tarot course, or we'd be doing NLP, or we'd be doing psychic development. And then this little old lady would just walk behind her, and the whole group, the first night it happened, went, "There's a ghost behind you, Evie." And so that's what laughing, Nicole, because I'm waiting for it.
No one's talking. Well, it doesn't happen here. It happens in that corner, like in the alcove part. That's where the weird stuff happens. People see stuff behind me. This space is safe.
Take the camera there for me one day.
Yeah, well, it's the opposite. Remember that day that was on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
That's the safe space. Everywhere else is a bit weird.
What do we need? Sorry, I'm going way off track. What do we need to know about Nicole's noise in that corner? Yeah. Sarah, what would you interpret that to be?
Well, straight away I got there's a female stands in your corner. So anyway, that's what I got.
And then with the Page of Wands, it's a nudge to move house. It's one of the moving houses cards.
Time to move.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah said.
Okay, thank you. And yes, you're right. It's a lady.
Oh, yeah, got it straight away. Yeah.
Anything else there, Sarah, since we got you waiting? Who wants a reading from Sarah? You haven't been working today. Your mind is switched on and ready to play.
I'm always thinking, I have a market on Saturday. Come and see me in officer.
Where's your market, Sarah?
Can you put the details in
It's
our
just
Facebook page?
the officer community hall on Saturday. So, and then I have another one at the end of November in Berwick in the Timbara community
And
centre.
then
So yeah,
you said there was 2 more next year.
yeah, I've got a few there. Yeah, so they'll start back up in February and March and stuff. Yeah, so lots of stuff in the pipeline. Yes, but
Getting you out there.
yeah, I'm happy to do readings for you guys. Just get in touch. It's all good.
Yay. Cool,
Yay.
cool. Okay, let's go to Elise and pinning Elise. Checking in. In my sessions, this is when I would pull a tarot card. What do we need to know? Who do we need to call in for guidance? But we're going to play in NLP world. So, Elise, what I want to check in with you is about this fear that you mentioned last week or the week before about big dogs. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it all big dogs or a particular breed like German Shepherd or like is there?
It's most big dogs, yeah. There's a particular breed that's a real problem for me, but I get that same sensation from most big dogs.
And just because I want to be thorough, is if you were to go through a toy shop and they had big teddies of dogs, is there an issue?
No.
Okay, so it sounds ridiculous, but then what's the difference between the teddy and the one in real life?
There's a threat, like something can happen, it can attack me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, how I'm going to ask this twice. On day to day, because what I know from a previous client was she had an issue with cats, and so just walking to the train station, a cat may come out. So like this consumed her every day. And so with you, is this a thing where you're just always on alert, or it's like it's the dog park you stay away from? Like how does it impact your day to day?
It's if I see, like, I'm not on alert. It's just like if I'm walking through a park and I
Yeah.
see a big dog.
And what if you hear it?
I'd probably be looking pretty quick.
Yep. And so if you were looking, then it would be okay, looking for the size of the dog or looking where the dog is in general.
Mm, yeah, the size, yeah, seeing where it is, yeah, and proximity to me.
Okay.
Or the nature of the dog too.
Okay. Have there been friendly big dogs? Like a friend got a big one and yeah, okay, you can work around it?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So it sounds like there must be something that you're seeing that maybe can indicate the fear, not so much something that you're seeing in the big dog. Would that be about right?
I think it's if I don't know, so there's the unknown.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I know it's a friend's dog, I know it's gonna be okay, and then we can have that process of being okay. But
Yeah.
yes, seeing it and then it looking at me.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so even so so there's a level of safety then that the other person or sorry, there's safety in knowing the owner.
Yes, yeah, a little bit. Like I can be around it, it's fine. Like I can, yeah, be there. But if I don't know the owner or the
Yeah.
dog,
Okay.
a lot more.
Right now when you're and I don't want you to go into the picture too much, but right now when you're thinking about the problem with the big dog, how big is the picture for you?
Can you rephrase that?
Yeah, so if you're while we're talking about the big dog, the threat, the unknown, where is that, how big is that picture when you think about it outside of you?
Sorry, Claire, it just went a bit weird and I couldn't hear you.
That's right. When you think about the unknown with the dog
Mhm.
and possibly even a recent event, how big is the picture?
In size, like when I'm thinking about it,
Yeah,
not very big.
okay. But it's kind of right in front of you?
Yeah, it'd be like here.
Yeah, okay. Because I want to play with this just a little bit, and it's a bit of a teaching moment. If we get hold of that picture and we kind of move it to the other side, kind of out of reach, how does your body respond?
It's nicer that it's further away.
Yep, good, good, good. Yep, that's good to know. So it's telling us that it's actually quite movable, which is quite strange, right? It's like it's been fixed, it's there, it's serving a purpose, but it also has a bit of flexibility here. So that's
Mhm.
good to know. When you think about, or sorry, if we take you back momentarily to seeing the big dog, the unknown, talk to me about the feelings that come up for that.
Mm, I just get my heart just drops. Like I get this sinking feeling.
What happened for you in the past? Is there something that you can go like, yeah, I was XYZ, or like this is just out of the blue?
No, there's an event. Yeah.
Roughly how old were you with that event?
There's kind of two that there's one that was like pretty traumatic, and that was like I was probably 17 ish. And then there's one that's like a smaller event that I was like 5, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't great, but it was okay. But
Who
that,
was involved when with the 5-year-old? Like, was mum, dad there? Went to a babysitter? Like, what happened with that one?
yeah, I was just at home. It was, yeah, the family were there. It wasn't like it was a fright. That was a fright. And the most recent one was like an attack.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't want to go too much into it, but the attack, like you ended up okay, or you ended up in hospital, or
Oh no, yeah, I'm okay. Just big fears.
yeah, okay. So, um, very briefly with the 5-year-old situation. So you were home. Did you know the dog? Was it the home dog or the
Yeah,
family dog, I should say?
yeah, it was just my sister's dog.
Okay. Again, a teaching moment for everybody. The way that Elisa's eyes are moving, the way that her body's like there's definitely something that's like here. And it's just I find it fascinating that it's her neurology is so just knows that it's here. It's quite fascinating. Um, Coaching, if I was coaching Elise long term, while we would resolve and shift that picture, I would be curious about if I was working with Elise with procrastination or something, I would actually probably use that space. I would probably put things that she wants to get away from in that space. So I would use that in, but that's going way off track. So Elise, getting back in touch with the big dog issues, does it matter if it's day or night? Does anyone else have to get involved for you to have this response? Like,
Mm,
does anyone have to witness it, or you can be by yourself and it's there?
yeah, it can be solo.
What have you done in the past to try to move around this situation?
Oh gosh, something in my ear. What have I done in the past? Just avoided situations. I've tried to be open to like people's animals and letting, yeah, try to break down that fear by exposure therapy, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
yep.
it's probably all.
And when you think about how you want to be instead, what comes to mind?
I just don't want to have that overwhelming feeling when there's not really a threat.
Yeah.
I would like to just be free to walk safely and
Yeah.
issue.
So so it makes sense, obviously, that there's a message here, there's a threat, your body's doing exactly what we would want it to do, like
Mm.
blood pressure up, get out of there. But it sounds like compared to a 5-year-old, like there's other resources now, talking to people, preparing yourself, like if you've got a dog at home, all things. So it makes sense then having that we do want your unconscious mind to have a level of awareness like everybody else in the room. So yeah, we're not looking to completely disappear. Healing amnesia, all dogs are great. Still want you to have that healthy sense of awareness. The the question just came and went. Is there a friendly dog that is there a friendly dog that just is calm, like creates that calm, peaceful, like you'd even, pat it, approach it, all the things? Is there a dog in your world?
Do you mean specifically a big dog or just any dog?
No, any dog.
Mm-hmm.
Can I quickly check what then the dog's name is?
Otis.
And who does Otis belong to?
Otis is my mom's dog.
What type of dog?
It's a little Bichon Free Shih Tzu cross.
Little baby. Okay. Cool, cool. With this in mind, to be transparent with you, I am wondering, with the way that your body is responding, there was a moment of a red rash that was coming up. I'm wondering if we need to momentarily do a little bit of a timeline, but I wanted to check in with you if you've got that crystal and the safety, or is that enough, or your body's like, actually, I need some answers here. I'm just checking in with you and your intuition, which way you want to go.
I'm fine. I get quite flushed quite regularly, so I'm okay. Definitely my hands are sweating. There's a body reaction, but it's also just kind of normal too.
Yep, okay. Good to know. So I will take the lead then, because I'm also mindful that you may not want to be on the spotlight for so long. So that was also a contributing piece here. But what I want to do, Elise, is just to momentarily go through a very quick timeline just to get a little bit more information before we dive into the phobia model. And if you're okay with that, then I want you to get in touch with that question that you spoke about earlier, the fear of the unknown. That's where I want to have a look in, where I'm still trying to get the right wording for it, but has there ever been a time where you've immersed yourself in the unknown and it turned out wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to do momentarily is to quickly check in with the issue with the unknown. When there's a actually, let's have a quick look at that. Diving into the unknown, can you share what was good about the unknown, or a situation that was easy or left you feeling confident?
Specifically,
Yeah.
just reminds me of moving to Melbourne from New Zealand and not knowing many people and not knowing what it was going to be like and not having a job, and it just, yeah. I mean, 6 years later, it obviously worked out.
And so then the unknown, would you call that a bit of an adventure, or what word do you call that?
Yeah, adventure,
Yeah. Yeah.
newness.
Newness. Okay, good to know the newness. So then the unknown. So what I'd like to do is then very briefly take you on to that timeline process to when you decided the unknown was a threat. We'll just see what comes up. Doesn't need to be too big, but we'll just get those aha moments from that.
Mhm.
Awesome. So then, Elise, just going to invite you to close your eyes and just letting all of the to-do lists and everything else just wash away, knowing that this time is just for you, and setting the intention for this process to be something where we learn something incredible about the newness of Elise and the adventures that she's got planned for her future. And just noticing that previously we had that crystal with the safety, that shared safety, that protection, allowing that safety to go right into your heart space there, that glow, that energy. And there's that familiar breath that allows that safety to just move throughout your entire being. As you've got that sense of lightness throughout you, just going to invite you to float up out of your body. That's such a wonderful feeling to just float up higher and higher, going up even higher. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go back on your time stream all the way back to that moment when you decided that the unknown was a threat. There's an issue there. And I don't know if it was this life or a past life in the womb or ancestral, but I know your unconscious mind has definitely recorded that. Because the truth is, it's got such a grip on you at the moment that it's time to move it. It's time to move it to the left and just let that go. So what we're going to do is we're going to float along your time stream, going all the way back. There we go, going all the way back along your time stream to that very first time there was a threat there, the fear of the unknown. And you'll feel yourself energetically arrive at that moment. And then after that, there's just nothing. So in a moment, not now, Elise, I'm going to ask you to drop down into that event, to see what you saw, to hear what you heard, and notice what you said to yourself as we drop down into that moment, just momentarily, to discover what created this fear of the unknown. And so on 3, 2, 1, dropping down into that event just momentarily, taking like a photo, a snapshot of that situation, that scenario, noticing is it daytime or nighttime, noticing who's around you. And as quickly as you dropped in is as quickly as I want you to go back up, floating up higher and higher, and feeling the relief being so high up above that event down there. So it's so small, so insignificant. And as you're up there in that learning position with that event down there so small, something about the unknown, I don't really remember, but just taking notice of the lessons, allowing more lessons to start to become aware. And as the lessons start to come forward, allowing the voice to speak, can you share with me one of those lessons?
Just that I'll be okay.
Yeah, wow. Tell me, where do you feel that in the body?
Just yeah,
Tell me, what color is it?
pink.
Yay, awesome. And the truth is, you absolutely will be okay. There's that eternal energy within you, that inner guidance of like the complete adventure of a lifetime here. From this perspective, just want you to move that beautiful pink energy on your time stream so it flows all the way into the future and all the way in the past. And as that pink, tingly, kind of sparkly energy moves along your time stream, it just starts to soften. starting to soften all of those other kind of old issues. And so as we start to travel back to this now moment, looking down on those moments and noticing that there could have been other choices made, but there was those learnings through hardship. Now we're going to learn through newness and the adventure of what's to come, the excitement and the anticipation, inviting the universe to bring in more and more of what you want. So start to journey all the way back to this now moment, coming all the way back. And when you're ready, coming back into the body, wiggling those fingers and toes. And when you're ready, opening your eyes to a whole new you, Elise. Yay, it's good to be pink, right?
Yeah, it's my rash.
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay, so how do you feel about that very quick experience?
I feel a lot like calmer and yeah, just kind of see it in a different way.
Yeah, that's fun. I'm nosy. Like, where did you go? Past lives, childhood, like where did you go?
Childhood, yeah. I have this visual that's being at the window, and I remember my mom had to leave for work. She had to travel for work, her and dad every day over like an hour away, and I just remember being at the window crying, wanting mom. Oh yeah, unknown. Her was going off into the world, and I was like, well,
And then what happened? Did you turn around and it was like Home Alone and you just had fun with it, or like,
no, I had a really grumpy babysitter that I hated, so
okay, that one's obviously got some work to do, but for now, what I want to do is I want to give you a break from that old way around dogs. So it's just like you heading off to Bali and leaving me responsible for doing the whole, Australian dog thing. And so what I need you to do is I need you to teach me how you do the fear of dogs, Elisa's style. And so if we take yourself back to a recent event, see what you saw, hear what you heard, feel the feelings, going back to that event. Teach me, Elise, how do I do fear of dogs? Where do I start? Because I don't want to forget.
um, you see the dog.
Yep. So where would I be though? Like I'm in the bathroom, like where am I?
You could be anywhere that there's a dog. You might be at your friend's house, you could be at the park, you could be on the street.
Okay. So I could pretty much just be out anywhere where there's dogs. And so teach me because I want to make sure I get this right. I don't want to forget. So then what's the next thing that has to happen for the fear of dogs to come in? Again, do I see something, hear something, say something to myself?
But I think I see the dog and then I feel something. I feel nervous. I feel something happens.
Yeah.
Right?
And so we're out, we're gonna see the dog. So we're out. Has the fear actually happened? Like, are we already in fear when we're out?
I'm not fearful until I see the dog, have the fear,
Yep.
and then if the dog looks at me, I feel more fear.
Okay. So hold on, because I want to make sure I get this right. I don't want to forget. So I'm out and about. Suddenly I'm alerted and I see a dog. Then the next thing that happens is this feeling that washes over me. And then what happens? Sorry?
Um, okay, I see the dog and I feel the fear. Um, and then it's exacerbated if the dog is looking at me or comes in my direction and the fear gets a little stronger and more overwhelming.
Okay. Yep. Again, because teach me this. So I'm being Elise for the day. I want to make sure I get this right. I don't want to forget. So I'm out and about, skipping on my merry way. I may see a dog. I get this kind of flutter feeling that brings in that pink energy. And then I'm really on alert then to see the response. If I did it like that, would that strategy still work?
I think so. See the dog and then get the fear. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool. And so, because I don't want to forget this, so I want to make sure I get this right. So I see the dog,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that vibration of energy in my chest just radiating out. There's that pink energy, and then I see the dog.
Well, I don't have the pink energy. I see the dog and my heart drops.
Yeah, right. So the heart drops because
Yeah.
it's not that there's something new here, the heart's just dropped.
Yes.
Yeah. Would the strategy still work if I did it that way?
Yes. I'm not sure anymore.
Hold on, because I want to make sure that we give you a break from this.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm you, I'm out and about.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I kind of see like, like that 111. There's like a sign there, right? So I see it. I feel that feeling and I'm, ready for it. And then it's just like I drop into downward dog as the dog comes near me. It's like Otis. If I did it like that, would that fear still work? Will that strategy still work?
No.
What's missing in my strategy?
Um, the fear.
Because I don't want to forget this. So tell me again what happens with the fear?
I see the dog and then I feel the fear. My heart drops.
Yep. And then what happens? Because I don't want to forget.
Then I don't know, the dog might look at me and then it's worse. Um,
True, true. The dog might look at you. What happens if the dog doesn't look at you?
it's better.
Better. Yep. What's better?
There's less fear.
Yeah, that would be quite interesting. So I want to get this right because I don't want to forget.
Mhm.
If I did this strategy of seeing, being out in the open, feeling into Mother Nature, knowing that I'm completely fine, if I saw Otis running at me, I did that strategy, would the fear still come in?
No.
Okay. So then there must be something playing out here about something you're saying to yourself. And I'm curious. So if you're, teach me, because you're out in the open, you see something, Elise, what are you saying to yourself?
Um, oh my God. I don't know. There's a dog. It's gonna get me.
Yeah, right. Okay. So there's that dog, it's going to get you. Let's play with this then. So teach me again because I don't want to forget. So I'm seeing the dog. I say to myself, like, this is so good being out in the open. I feel that feeling in my chest and I know I'm alive. And it's like, this is good to be alive. There's new adventures. I see the eyes on me and I'm like, yeah, I'm confident. If I did it like that, would the strategy still work?
No.
Tell me tell me what comes up for you.
Well, I'd be feeling confident.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be fearful.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What happens when you're confident with Otis?
Mm, I don't know. There's just not fear there.
Yeah. What happens when you do confidence with people?
It's a good interaction.
Yeah. So one last go here because I don't want to forget. So if we were to play out the Elise strategy on dogs and we were to go outside knowing that you are completely entitled to be outside where you want to be and said to yourself like, oh my God, like this is incredible. And then noticing that there's all these people out there doing the downward dog. What would I be saying if I did this? Would the fear strategy still work?
No.
How's your body responding to that idea?
It's silly, so I just feel light. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
With that in mind and that silliness, because we could keep going and, we could have you clucking like a chicken at that dog and being absolutely ridiculous. I think the main point here is noticing that there is that strength in your heart, that pink energy, that when you are ready for a new adventure, then you actually start to attract in beings like Otis who want to be on the adventure with you. So with that in mind, what I want to do is I want to take you through the fast phobia model. And this is a particular process where we're just going to play, going to like being at the cinema, like school holidays back in the day, going to the movies. I'm just going to guide you through this process so that we're going to do this in your imagination. Do you have any questions, Elise, before we go forward?
No, just confused. Running it out.
Good place to be. Awesome. So then what we're going to do is just again invite you to close your eyes and holding onto that crystal, feeling into that beautiful pink energy. Because, yeah, we're going to discover something truly new and amazing about Elise. Just imagining in your mind's eye that you've got that amazing golden ticket to a movie, a cinema. My old husband would say, let's go to the pictures. You're like, David, we'll go to the pictures, not Wizard of Oz. But let's go to the movies. And just using your imagination, Elise, to walk into the cinema and knowing that there's a really special movie that's going to play. As you walk in, Elise, notice all of the colours, the sounds, that fragrance of the cinema, possibly even the popcorn. And I want you to choose a seat in the middle row. Sitting in that middle row, feeling the fabric, sitting back, comfy, whatever makes sense to you in a cinema, Elise. And then here in that cinema, I want you to imagine that there's a movie that's going to play. And in a moment, not now, that movie is going to be one where there's that old event, maybe when you were about 5, of that old experience. And the important thing to know here is that this movie has a beginning and an end. Otherwise, it would just be too consuming. So this moment has been looping in your mind for a long time. But today we're actually going to look at it to resolve it. In a moment, we're going to have that movie play in black and white. But while you're sitting there in that middle row, I just want you to imagine that it's like your higher self or an aspect of you just floats out of your body and heads off to the projector room. Up there with that distance, there's that ease knowing that there is that distance between you and that movie theatre. And so up there in the projector room, it seems a bit odd, but you're up there looking at yourself, about to watch a movie about yourself. And so with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to have that movie play like that one last time. And again, it'll play from the beginning to the end. And so when you get there, we're just going to have that movie freeze at the beginning and freeze at the end. So what I want you to do now, Elise, is to play the movie with you in the projector room, looking at yourself down there. We're going to play that movie from the beginning to the end, just to where you were safe, and just to have that stop. Feeling the ease, knowing that that movie has stopped in that safe space. And this is where the fun begins. We're actually going to have that movie rewind. And as it goes backwards, everything walks backwards, talks backwards, just and then all the way back to the beginning at the start where you're safe before the event even happened. And so again, we push play and we have that movie going really, really fast. So it's just like really, really fast to the end and then stop back to where that safety is. And then pressing rewind again, black and white movie going all the way back, talking backwards, talking back to the start and then stop. And then again, pressing fast forward even faster, all the way to the end where you're safe and then stop and then going backwards or rewinding back to the beginning and then stop and then going all the way back to the end and then stop. And now what I want you to do is I want you to notice there's that version of you in the projector room and they just come to sit by you in the middle row. This time, feel their comfort, feel their support, feeling feet flat on the floor and just breathing in. You've gone through what you've gone through and survived to tell the story. So with that in mind, it's just time now to step out of that movie theatre, stepping out of that movie theatre, possibly into that empowered pink energy of knowing something new is about to happen. And as you start to step out of that theatre, getting that into a bubble of light and feeling confident, radiating that confidence, knowing that you get to decide what's around your energy. So floating up, taking that bubble with you, going higher and higher, going really high, and almost taking that bubble to an abyss. Because in a moment, we're going to drop that bubble. We're going to smash out that old story, smashing out that old way, and smashing it out of every single cell of your being. So in 3, 2, 1, just smashing that whole cinema, completely smashing it out of your energy field, out of every cell, out of just being completely free of this old story. And Claire would say, clear and transmute in all times, dimensions, and frequencies, and allowing all of those sounds, those sights to just completely resolve and dissolve, turning to dust. And the truth is, they're no longer going to dictate your future. Feeling the relief, allowing that confidence to just trickle down. It's now time to float into the future. Now we're going to float to a moment in time in the future where, of course, like seeing that 111, there's going to be a sign from the universe, going to be aware of what's around us and knowing that there's the signs everywhere for us to be safe, for us to be comfortable, and for us to make decisions on what's appropriate for where we are and where we need to be. So Elise, just inviting you to float into the future where previously you may have had that uncomfortable response, but now there's a new decision and things have changed, and that's a good thing. So with that in place, it's time to come all the way back into the room, bringing with you the confidence, the awareness, the discernment, and that incredible pink energy. You start to come all the way back into the body, starting to wiggle those fingers and toes. And when you're ready, opening your eyes to a whole new you.
Wow.
How was that, Elise?
that was such a journey. That whole experience. Um,
You want to integrate and I'll take it to the room while you come back in the body?
mhm.
Awesome. Have a drink, ground, resonate back in this now moment. So, crew, what did you notice? Talk to me. Any words of encouragement for Elise? Nothing?
Well done, Elise.
It was really cool to see, like even when you were using words like relief, like her shoulders just dropped. And even when you were saying like floating back through the time stream, like she was drifting forward.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it was really cool. Thanks, Elise.
So,
When you spoke about your mum's dog, like you could just see the love that you had, like it was just radiated, I felt as well when you were talking about Otis. Like there was a smile on your face. Yeah. Oh, that really stood out.
Thank you, Sarah. So, Lisa, if we were going to calibrate and just to check in, when you think about being out there, maybe seeing something, maybe not, where are we now on the scale of 1 to 10?
yeah, like feels so much less. Like, I don't know, like a 4 or something.
Yay, that's awesome. That's 40 minutes and bringing it down so you can catch your breath and you travel around this world. It's awesome.
Mm. No, so many things. I don't know where to start.
No, that's all right. It's there's a big part of me that wants you to hold on to that healing amnesia and to start to create those new stories like what Sarah's talking about with Otis and throughout history we've had stories of men and their dogs and the connection and it's just when and you'd know this from Otis, like when you step into your leadership, he respects that. So, dogs are just want to follow and wag their tails um and truth is a lot of the people need you to step up into that confidence too.
Mm. It's amazing how you take it from such a fear and like vulnerability to such an empowerment and a strength. Like, yeah, real mind work there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm always in awe of yeah, I'm always in awe of how quickly the shift can be when someone is willing and ready for that shift to occur. So thank you for trusting me, Elise. I'm really curious then, we were talking about that picture being there. What happens now if we bring in the picture of Otis and just lock that in?
Mm. Feels much happier, lighter. Yeah, far less fearful.
Yay. So bringing it back to everyone around the group, we'll, each name I'll call out, but I had a whole list of different ideas on where to take the dog thing. It always depends on how imaginative the client is, where the resistance is, or how playful they want to be. Depends on the topic. Some of the dog things that I had in here was I noticed that I've got three dogs, I've got three Cavaliers, and when I take command, and dog owners know this, when you take command, they kind of adore you. It's like, okay, this is where the boundary is, and I really respect that. Strangely, I noticed that too with my daughters going from a really arty school where they had no boundaries to a school that was super strict, and she's actually thriving knowing where the boundaries are. Similar to the dogs thing. So, what, and Elise made a really strong point to say that the energy gave her and awareness to be switched on and aware. And I sort of, in my mind, I had contrasted that to people looking out for angel numbers to be switched on. Where? What are the messages here? It's not really that different. It's like, okay, there's something there that I need to take notice of. Isn't that interesting? I feel like I'm waffling. On my list, I had the potential that we would start to howl at the moon like a dog and see how the dog behaved. Like I was ready to, yeah, absolutely make a fool of myself for you, Elise. Um, yeah, but I had a strong emphasis here on boundaries, and being in confident seemed like the opposite. But if I hand it over to you, Sarah, is there anything that stands out to you on what you may have where you may have taken the strategy scrambler?
I don't know, because I followed and saw, but I just felt a lot as well. And I kind of put this bubble of protection around you, Elise. It was the weirdest thing, but that's what, yeah. And I just, for me, it was more about I wanted to give you an angel of protection against the animal. So that's where yeah. Sorry, that's
Yeah, no,
that's
that's
me.
awesome. I did have that one down. I noticed a guardian celestial being standing next to me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I had there as a potential. Yep. And of course, it's Claire. I was going to say, and they stand there in their animal skin, just like a dog. And so,
yeah. That's 100% where I was at and where I sat with you, and yeah, yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Karen, what angle may you have taken that strategy scrambler?
I really liked the whole like skipping through your day type, but then just hearing Sarah talk about it then. Also that changing the dance, like dancing with a dog or like something like that. Just making it more positive, I guess.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That would definitely work with the dogs wagging their tails, getting to a dance like play school. Milo and Otis. I couldn't do Milo and Otis. Like didn't help anyway. That was crying so
Um,
much.
Ironically, I have a German Shepherd and her and the cat were fighting in the background while that whole situation was playing out. The cat and the dog were fighting.
I just kicked them out of. I forgot to ask him. I kicked the dog out of sight. Like, oh, that's funny. Karen, what direction would you have gone with the strategy scrambler?
Probably similar to Erin, just really playful and having fun. And yeah, I like the idea of the dancing, but I think that's probably what I would have done.
Yeah, yeah. Do you get a sense that that movement is important to Elise? Like that's why that dancing would resonate?
Yeah, possibly. Um, because it's a different type of interaction. So, and generally that is a really positive. It's actually quite a close connection when you're dancing with someone. So, you're often feeding off each other. So,
Oh, it's getting better and better. Yeah, that's clever. That's really clever. Thank you. Lucy, where would you have gone with the strategy scrambler?
I would have done what you did with the Otis thing when you brought in Otis, because that was a really nice. I feel like that's where I saw Elise change because she instantly obviously feels safe with Otis. So that was really nice for her to be like, well, because originally it was just I see dog, insert fear, whereas that instantly broke it up to it's not just you see a dog. And then the other thing that maybe I would have done, which I don't know if I would have had the information to do, so I'd be keen on feedback, but like, like a cartoon when they get really big, goofy eyes and like they have a really cute tongue and their ears go all floppy and they kind of look like Bugs Bunny,
Yeah, that would have been good.
like
Yeah.
doing because then it was the whole looking at her. So I wondered if you played with that maybe.
that would have been sensational. Yep. Well, how do you think that would have worked, Elise?
Yeah, I think yeah, it would work fine. I was just so confused the whole time. I was like feeling like my strategy was silly, because you were repeating it back, and I was like, this is silly. Like I already was like, felt like it was breaking down.
Yeah, that's what happened for you, Rachel, right? With your glitter breakfast.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, just started kind of blanking and like, is this what I do? What do I do? How do I be?
Then, Rachel, what would you have added to yours if you were doing the strategy scrambler? Where might you have taken it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm literally just thinking about it now as everyone's talking. It was good to just see how you did it. I guess knowing that Elise is visual, that's probably where my mind went as well. I sort of thought of like the Harry Potter thing where they like have the scary thing come out of the closet and then they go shabam and they turn it into like something funny. Um, but yeah, my other thinking would be knowing that Elise is self-described like airy fairy, I think you said to me once, like sort of thinking, and the fear is very like that uncertainty and the thinking, okay, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. So maybe, yeah, something with like the self-talk, which I think you did at the end there as well with the strategy to say like to kind of take control of those thoughts and turn them into saying really positive things or different things like, oh, what a cute, like, yeah,
Yeah,
changing the kind of
you could
words.
get that wand right and just go poof on that bubble of speech, poof on that bubble of thought, poof, like just fear what fear. Like, yeah, you could
Mm, mm.
awesome. Yeah. Are you a Harry Potter person, Elise? Would you have been able to follow that metaphor?
I actually, my first thought went to the big dog with the three
Yeah,
heads.
the three-headed dog.
So I'd maybe
And
when
didn't
you
they play music? They play like a lullaby and then the dog falls asleep. Maybe you could have done that then.
yeah, yeah.
Lullaby music comes in.
Yeah, yeah, cool. What about you, Manny? Where would you have taken the strategy scrambler?
I have no clue, to be honest. Like, I'm still trying to absorb the process. I need some time to like figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get that confidence moving. If your daughter had, I know she's only little, but if she was starting to indicate that she was fearful of a dog, and again, she's only little, but then what playful thing would you do to relax her? Like I meet you in Tacoma, I've got my three idiot dogs. She's like, Daddy, pick me up. What, like, how would you respond?
I'll come and play with the dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And, and maybe just invite her to come and play with us.
yeah. Yeah, so that you absolutely switched on with that. It's sort of like, yep, okay, I noticed the dog, and then fatherly figure comes by, calms the dog, and it's like, yeah, we can breathe. It's all good. Like you can definitely play with that. Your mind went to the exact right place. Cool. Shelley, do you want to add to, well, what would you add to this list?
I think my initial goal would be like having that sort of safety energy that you use, but I really love how you kept it really light and playful. Like Elise was laughing at most of what you were saying, which was pretty cool. So that was really, yeah, really interesting to see that spin on it. Nothing else that I would have really added to. I think that's something I would like to get more practice with.
Yeah, let's practice now though. Like if you were put on the spot to do the strategy scrambler, what kind of ridiculous what direction would you go?
Um, well, I would probably, if I knew like more about the person or their rep system, I'd play with that, or I would maybe intuitively feeling like what would be funny for me.
Yeah. Keep going. What would be funny for you?
Um, like in this scenario, or
Yeah, let's get playful with it. Like
um,
we'll start to scramble your strategy on taking it too seriously. Let's play.
um, I don't know. I guess where my feelings go would be wanting to like make it like sound really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how though.
Yeah, no, keep going. That's like, I mean, is there movies that are coming to mind where they just went ridiculous with the sounds? Like,
Movies. Probably like Jim Carrey's sort of character comes to mind.
yeah, Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You got your tutu on and your hair going all nuts, and then you play the music or whatever. I've got and I don't know the movie, but I know the meme of the guy standing with the radio above the head, you know. So yeah, you can definitely play with your imagination because this is a integral part of getting up to the
Mm.
hypnosis piece and using the metaphors and all of that go with it. So yeah, I love that. The sound, that would be awesome.
Mm.
Courtney, where would you have taken the strategy scrambler?
Mine was also similar to shells because something, this is really ridiculous, but when we take my dog to the dog park, my partner and I like pretend like we could imagine what each dog, how they talk, depending on what they look like, um, and making it really ridiculous. So yeah,
Pretty
that would be
doing
mine.
it. So then that tonight would have been your stage. You would have just been at ease to play with that, right?
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. And you already like that's
And it's
already
like you picture the big dogs and they have these like really ridiculous, like squeaky voices, or like they're not the big crazy dogs that you think they are when they talk, when you imagine what their voice would sound like.
oh, that's awesome. So at least we don't want to forget. So if we did it like that, would it still work?
I don't even know the answer to the question now. So confused. Oh.
That's the whole piece about, when we did the chaining anchors and you would deliberately induce confusion because someone would be like, get me out of this. Like, I'll do it. I'll picture it, whatever you want. Just get me out of this. Like, that's what's just happened. If we had somebody who was motivated by money, I would have maybe had played with, the dog has the $1 million check on its collar and it's lunging out to give it to you. But yeah, David was like, maybe don't connect money to trauma, Claire. Like, oh, I reckon I would have might have worked for me when I was back in the day being homeless. So like, yeah, no, that would have worked. I would have lunged too. But anyway. Okay, any questions or ahas or any comments for Elise or questions for Elise about the process? Yeah, Lucy?
One thing that I noticed when we were talking about it before we actually did the demonstration was when Elise is teaching, the ideal situation is that she says you, but she would repeatedly say I, but you never corrected her.
I
So,
tried to.
oh, you tried to. Okay. So I guess, yeah, my question would be how important is it that they're saying you versus I?
It's not obviously it's worked. It's not that important, but
Yeah,
it's just another it's just another piece that would make it that much stronger. If you've got a resistant client, then
right.
that's the next piece to dial it up to.
And would you ever, because I noticed when you were doing it, you'd repeat, you're teaching me, like you would do it in like I'd say like it felt very organic to the process. It didn't feel like you interrupted the flow, whereas I feel I might have gone, Remember to say you. Like, I think I would have been a bit more explicit. Would that have interrupted the flow too much?
No, it would have worked. No, it would have
Okay.
worked.
So
I mean, we checking with Elise. Would that have made it like? Do you need more instructions, Elise?
I think that would have been fine. I didn't recognize that I was probably saying I was just too in it. I was trying to remember what I did, so made
yeah,
it.
okay. Yeah.
I think it would be fine.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
The extra on that was that Elise had been zoned out from timeline.
True. I liked the timeline thing. Would you do that often? I thought that worked quite well.
Yeah, I think I do timeline 99% of my sessions. It's a variation. People don't know it's coming.
And first versus fast phobia, then timeline?
Hold on, say that again. Timeline.
Well,
Sorry.
so you did timeline first, then you went to the fast phobia model. I guess why that order? Why not the reverse? Or do you do it? Do you mix it up?
Oh, no, I would no, there's other processes in masters that we teach, like the allergy model and things, and the timeline. If you've got a heavy duty issue, then timeline can actually sometimes be the softener. But if the client's not familiar with timeline, then you need the softener to the timeline. I'm not sure if that made
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
Because there's a process for the allergy model where you resolve somebody's allergies in like 20 minutes. It's absolutely amazing. Anything sneezing related, you can get rid of. But again, I like to set the client up for success. So I'll do timeline before we go into an allergy that has been sitting there. Allergies, people don't really tend to believe that you can get rid of it that quickly. So I build up their belief.
Okay. And then can I ask another question? Sorry. I'm just on a bit of a roll now. And just this is now in reference to timeline. So obviously when we learned timeline, we were learning based on like the primary emotions, so sadness, anger, etc. However, this was not that. That, you went, when did you perceive unknown to be a threat for the first time? I like, because an unknown is an answer you get regularly from clients, right? And as you can't fear the unknown. That's why you ask that question. So I guess, first of all, are you okay for us to do that beyond primary emotions? Because I feel like I've been sticking with the primary. And if yes, what other things can you do it on? Because I remember you mentioning like fear of not being good enough, for example. We shouldn't do that. That's more of a limiting belief exercise, and you go down that path. Or various other tools.
Who's got my book? Who's got my book? Like, that's what I'm looking at.
Nicole does.
That book takes you outside the realm of NLP. You go play. You play.
Okay.
Like me being really black and white. You haven't paid me to look for me to teach you that. So I'm not teaching you that. But for $50, you can get it and you can play with it. And then that's going to be the foundation for the timeline course where we go do really cool stuff with timeline, absolutely insane, really cool stuff with the womb, really cool stuff with intuition, going outside of time, all the fun stuff.
Okay.
And
I'll
so
purchase. Convince me, Claire.
so that's where NLP is so integral for people to get the rapport, delete, distort, generalize, the have beliefs. Once you've got that foundation, your mind is now primed for asking what's next, what's more, how can I do this better? So to get somebody to go from nothing to what's the next course for me, because I've seen it taking someone from basic to masters, it's a waste of time because people aren't like that question that you asked on Facebook. It was like you have put yourself in a position to give it a go to see where the parameters are. And then those really awesome questions started to come to the surface. So you needed boring little part integration to then explode to work with the higher self. And now you're at that prime place, like, what's next? And I'm like, there's the book. So that's me being really black and white. Is like, and my coach back in the day had said like, that's a $5,000, $8,000 course, and I'm like, No, I'm too rebellious. I'll write the book and put it out to the world for $50 rather than like having 8 people in a course. You know what I mean? So that's where I've been more rebellious with my business model that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I'm ordering it now. It's up on my Google.
It's so good. I love your book, Claire.
thank you.
It's so easy to follow. It's it's awesome. Everybody needs to buy it.
I
Myself out
agree.
of a job. Yeah, but even like Sarah, because I pretend like we're kind of nearly finished. But Sarah, did you notice there's pictures in there of my babies? It's like my babies are in books, like, and they're cute,
It's
right?
amazing. It's so good, Claire. Yeah, well done. It's a proud mama moment too.
Yeah, and my nana is in there, and my nanny, and all of that. So yeah, it's a bit of a, um, im for their 21st. Like, look, Lily, you're in a book. But Sarah, has there been a script that you've like your go-to in that one, or you just enjoying? Oh, she's put herself
Sorry.
on mute.
I just really have enjoyed. I'm kind of like I've been flicking through where the page lands, and
Oh,
then and I just say, where do I need to look at? And I'm just reading through, and like once we've finished with all the course, like I'm very excited then to try and put it all into work.
yay. And the color tabs. Tell me that you got excited about the color tabs.
Yes, I told you that the other week when I first got it.
Here it is. Underneath all my other books that I'm writing. I'm being really ridiculous, but when I was sitting at a cafe with my good friend Crystal, and she's like, "Oh my God, do the color tabs," and it's sort of like each script has a color, and it's just like, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, it's really it's perfect. It's awesome.
so then the next book that's coming up is the emotions, the metaphysical and the emotions, and then the healing scripts. So the next one is the healing one, and then the one after that is the between lives, the multidimensional, the star seeds.
And how long do we have to wait for the next book, please?
I don't know. How long do you think an average book takes to write?
No idea.
The average person's about 3 years. I wrote this book in less than 6 months.
Right, so we can expect what in 4 months' time then?
Like, I just went offline. Like, nobody saw me on Instagram. Like, friends didn't. Like, Denise probably doesn't think I love her anymore. Like, no, I was writing a book. Like, it was this whole 3 to 6 months of.
That's so
Anyway.
good though.
Do
But
the
it shows
third one
though.
next.
Yeah.
What was that?
Do the third one next.
Nicole, did you get out of telling Strategy Scramble you would do?
Yes, you didn't ask me, so
You just energetically put up this like, I'm not here.
no, I didn't. I was actually saying me from the start before someone takes mine. It worked in reverse because all I kept picturing every time she said, I see the dogs, I just kept seeing these tall, skinny, black, curly haired dogs with red and white bow ties and those glasses with the moustache attached to it. So, and they'll just go, at her. That's all I could picture. I couldn't think of anything else.
And what were they throwing popcorn at least or something?
No, they were just like, do. It's probably because I had Shell's dog in my head. Because he does that. Like, he just like, just slobbers everywhere. And so that's all I could picture. So I was like, I would just talk about the dog that way.
I love it.
Because she was so focused on seeing, like, what was she seeing to change the picture?
Lucy's ordered the book. I'm keen to hear your feedback. Thank you, Nicole. Sorry, I cut you off there. I'm keen to hear your feedback, and I'm very, very excited to, any testimonials, any feedback's always welcome. So, okay, I can't believe I'm expected to go to sleep now. I'm ready to hang out with all of the creative energy. Okay, so next week, like what we did with Timeline, I will pair you up. You were not expected to do the strategy scrambler all you really need to do is to take the person through the fast phobia script. If you read the script word for word, I did not stay to the script. I was sensory acuity. I was watching what Elise needed more of. Pardon me. So yeah, we're going to pair everybody up. I think then we're going maybe into the Godiva. We need to go into metaphors, hypnosis, and then you guys are all NLP practitioners. So we're getting so close to the end.
Can I just ask one more question? Sorry.
You can.
Trauma.
Mm.
So obviously, not obviously, but some fears can be associated with what would be deemed as a traumatic event for someone.
Mm.
Where, I mean, I haven't been trained in trauma, so it's not something that I'm, an expert in at all. So I guess what's your guidance on, I think you mentioned that the double dissociation is good for those that have struggled with trauma, but yeah, where do you draw the line on, would you say we're not, I don't, yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? Sorry,
There's a course on good old Facebook. If it comes up on my feed, the algorithm, it's probably listening. There's a course on trauma. That's like maybe $7 or free, and it comes up quite regularly. So this particular person, he was making a lot of money from his trauma-aware counseling course, and then he got the intuitive guidance that if he put that course out to the world for free or next to nothing, then he would also then get the next piece of information for his next, pay a lot of money for ticket course. So there is a trauma-informed course. If I can find it, I'll let you know. It often comes up on Facebook. Doing something like that trauma-informed is actually, from my humble opinion, kind of enough to bridge the gap with clients that come to you with trauma that's not the full-blown see a psychologist trauma. So I would encourage you to do a trauma-informed course.
Yeah.
But but you've got the integrity to recognize, like, okay, bipolar, schizophrenia,
where your boundaries are and where your expertise, is best to guide them somewhere else.
And it would be in your benefit if you're working with teenagers and things to understand trauma, so you start to speak their language. But I know you've already gone over like Gabor Mate and all those types of people. It's a fine line. In the last group, I had a Reiki master who's also a counselor and a psychologist. She didn't like me saying that to people. But from anyone who's been, so this is my personal kind of, if the system, the mainstream, knew how to resolve mental health, then we would all be very, very in a very different place. And so sometimes you need to do what's left of center to find the solution. And that's where I'm really proud that something like Timeline can make a big adjustment to someone instead of counseling things. So I'm running a fine line. Hopefully you're reading between the lines. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. No, it's just to make sure that, because obviously you're putting them back in the event, I know, through a double disassociated method. But yeah, I feel like I'd want just extra comfort that I'm doing it.
So with the double disassociation, because I have been trauma informed and done a variety of different counseling courses and all the things, the double disassociation is something that clinical hypnotherapists will use to create distance. But again, the fast phobia and the timeline kind of cover it without. What they tend to do is they will say, okay, if you've got that level of trauma, you need like 8 sessions. We need to build up that scaffold. We need to make sure that you're upright, that I have all of the data. And sometimes all of that data just takes too long to document versus taking someone through the fast phobia model. Keep in mind that keep in mind, so NLP was created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. they let NLP go out into the world to the non-academics, a little bit like a guinea pig. They wanted to test it. And then they also John Grinder then created EMDR. We talked about that earlier. And he said only academic psychologists, piece of paper people are allowed to do EMDR. And then they let that go out into the world. And from my research, working with lots of different trainers, coaches, counselors, the NLP always hits the mark when the clients are willing and ready. What comes first, chicken or the egg? You need to make sure that the clients are appropriate to fit in.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Agree.
And then you're saying the TRT therapy. I'm not sure
Yeah.
about that one.
Have you heard of it?
That's not RTT therapy. Is that what you mean?
No, TRTP is another trauma therapy technique.
Yeah. You're
Just
going to
telling
find
you.
you're going to find that all of those trauma therapy ones are psychologists who've done NLP and then made their own modality. Marissa Peer, she did NLP, she made it her own modality. Yvette
Yeah.
Rose did NLP, made it her own modality. It always comes. Chase Hughes made NCI, made his own modality. It always comes back to NLP.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Feel like
Thanks.
I've had
Sorry
my
for taking that a bit off topic, but that was helpful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, it'd be helpful for everyone. Helpful to know that that's where your minds are going, so I can. Other groups don't ask these questions. We went down a whole different avenue. So if that's what you guys have manifested this group for that, that's awesome. Okay, so next week we will pair up fast phobia again, and then I'll introduce the next topic. And yeah, keep me updated with how you're going on Facebook. All right, I'll see you all later.
Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Claire. Bye.
Bye.